BC, we've been warning everybody. We've been telling them. I don't know if the message is getting through, but it better. Jaron Ennis, dude, Custio Clayton is not a joke. But this idea of making Jaron Ennis fight the Custio Claytons of the world or whoever, the Tomas Delorme or whoever, it's a waste of his time. He dispatches him in less than 2 rounds, made it look absolutely effortless. This now officially makes him the number 1 contender mandatory for the IBF title held by Errol Spence. So my question to you is not, BC, is Jaron Ennis as good as we think he is? He appears quite obviously to be that. My question is, dude, they're going to avoid him. I want to bring up a quote that I saw my guy real quickly.
They already are.
Yeah, real quickly. My guy, Box Cutter Pazzi, Vinny Paz from Jedi Mind Tricks, he posted about this over the weekend. He's from Philly. He's a huge Jaron Ennis fan, and he brought up a quote that Joe Louis told to Marvin Hagler, which was, you have 3 strikes against you. You're black, you're southpaw, and you're good. They're going to avoid you like the plague. Now, certainly it's a bit of a different circumstance in today's boxing than it was back then, but it's the same point. Is Jaron Ennis going to be able to get the fights that we want him to be in?
Yes, and part of that is because he, like Spence before him, becoming the mandatory for Kell Brook and traveling to England, while all the stars under his own, universe and silo of PBC Showtime, even though he's not a PBC official fighter, we've talked about this before, but he's a Showtime fighter, they don't seemingly feel the need to do it now. They don't want to be the first one, right? That goes in and finds out how great he can be. So he's gone the mandatory route. The good news is by blowing away Clayton, he's now the number 1 contender, as you mentioned. So they're going to have to. It's just when, and is it going to be Crawford first, which we would not be unhappy about. But he's already secured, Luke, that side of it. If you won't fight me, I'll force myself in. So it's going to happen. The question is next, or if not, who next? I know I've talked about Staniosis, who has the secondary WBA belt, could just be a, okay, we'll test him against there. But against this level, and as whatever you want to say about Custio Clayton, dude, he was undefeated, and he had never been down, and he had been, durable and contest guys. Dude, this looked like the Harlem Globetrotters against the Washington Generals. I mean, at this level, we're done here. And he may do that to Staniosis. I don't know, dude. Staniosis is a tough out. That could be a fun style fight. But the whole point is, no, I don't even think there's enough upside for these big stars right now to fight him if they don't have to, especially like a Keith Thurman where there's no belt involved. He's not going to fight him now. He'd fight him for the belts, but he's not going to fight him right now. But the good news is, Spence is going to have to. I loved, even though there was this long delay on the Showtime broadcast because Castaño arrived late for the main event to the arena. No one knew if he was, doing gamesmanship stuff or just was late. But we got to see Spence interviewed in the crowd with Jim Gray. And, he gave Boots his flowers. He said, no, the kid's good, and our focus is on Crawford trying to make that fight happen. But, he basically said we're going to have to see him. And, he threw the joke in at the end about, Boots' comment about how he's ready for the big guys and all that. And, don't be careful what you ask for. But it was Spence's way of showing, I know who he is. I'm going to have to do it. And it is what it is. Luke, that's going to be I said this on the post-fight analysis show after Charlo on Morning Kombat. If Boots enters his first real elite fight test and we still don't really know, you know what I mean? How great he can be, plus are those intangibles for real? The chin, the backbone, the ability to adapt your game plan when someone's controlling you, all that stuff that you only find out at the elite level when you're this much of a freak and you're blowing people away. You know what I mean? Normally you'd find that out in your first 25 fights. We don't really know all that, dude. If he goes into a Spence fight without us knowing that, Luke, or a Crawford fight or whomever, line 1, Hanover, Ohio. How do I walk with this erection, Luke? How do I, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, Luke? Do you really know what I'm saying? Okay.
So let's ask this question. What is a mechanism? So if Bud Crawford signs with PBC, we're confident that would be next. Spence versus Crawford. It's been forever in delays, but it appears like if there's ever been a time to make it, it's this one. What are some possible options for Jaron Ennis? Because he is the number 1 mandatory. Couldn't Spence just drop the belt and then he has to fight whoever the fuck for it?
Yes, Spence could do that. He could play that game.
But he doesn't want to because he wants to unify with Crawford.
Look, Spence has not been about doing that shit that you can do when you have the leverage, when you're the unopposed A side. And I don't mean to say that if you've done that, you're a bitch. everybody who's achieved that power has abused it to a degree, from, Oscar to Floyd to even Canelo waiting out Triple G almost 2 full years there for, no reason but to maybe see him get old. Like, no one's perfect here. But I think Spence is about this life. And yes, if Spence beats Crawford for all 4 belts, is it possible that he breaks our hearts and just gives up all the belts, Luke, and goes up to 154? I mean, I guess, right? What if Spence became the undisputed champion and then only sought Canelo in a catchweight? That was his only focus from here on out. It's not like we'd say, dude, you're a bitch, you're running from boots. I mean, some would. I don't think he's about that, Luke. Spence has that old school mentality, and that's why this new era is so fun right now when they're making the fights and the fights are delivering, which they are last year and this year. It's why it's so fun. Put your blinders on. Forget about the past. Enjoy this, right? Put your face up against the screen. Just enjoy it. People don't want to leave their division, their time, their era with questions that they weren't the man. That's old school mentality. Spence has that, so I feel confident that, like, who cares? Boots isn't a PBC fighter. Apparently the relationship works. He's a Showtime fighter. We're going to make this. It's going to happen, Luke. Spence ain't dumping that belt in the garbage like Riddick Boa, to avoid Lennox Lewis. Not happening. I believe, Luke, you don't get tattoos on your back that aggressive if you're not about that life.